Hello and welcome to the next newsletter on New Zealand Sport Radio, the show where a panel of football tragics discuss the latest goings on in arguably the greatest football league in the world, or at least Australasia, the Bunnings A-League. And today we'll also be discussing the latest going on in the football world as a whole, because there's been something absolutely insane that's been going on. And if we'd been living under a rock, we wouldn't have mentioned it, but we haven't. And we will be talking about it. Anyway, more specifically, we're here to break down the performances of the Wellington Phoenix, preview their next game, and give all of you watching and listening some views and opinions about the league in a Kiwi accent rather than an Aussie one. And today, before we get to our Wellington Phoenix, who had a fantastic victory on the weekend, but they do play in a franchise league, which we've got to be talking about, because there was a franchise league that was proposed by a certain amount of owners. Let's be honest, it was owners. Let's be clear. It wasn't clubs. I don't know why they kept putting a club badge up. I think it was just the fact that these owners are tied to these clubs, but it was owners who made these decisions. They didn't consult anyone else. It was their fault. Okay, let's be clear about that. And they decided that they were going to create a breakaway league and they were going to go off and do their own thing and have a franchise that's boring as hell, because we all know that the franchise system as football fans is boring as hell. No one likes to watch it, apart from if you're an American, because apparently that's the only system that works if you're an American. And they decided that they were going to do that. And it was led by the Real Madrid president, Florentino Perez. And he said, hey, we're going to make football better for everyone by filling our own pockets. What a genius that man is, eh? Greedy prick decided that he was going to go off and he was going to fill his pockets and pay off his debts and then say, see you later. And that was his plan. And he outlined it. He got up in front of everyone and said, this was my plan. And secondarily, he said, actually, by the way, there'll also be parachute payments to these clubs who sign up, because they should get money too. But at the end of the day, it was about going and reaching a bigger audience in Asia. And it was about taking these clubs and basically just sending them off to 5 billion people and saying, hey, look at our sport, look how great it is. We've got the best players. And they said, you know what? They were so arrogant. They said, we're going to be able to play in our domestic league still. We're going to be able to still play in all the cup competitions. And we're going to play weeknights in this new league that we're creating, which is ridiculous, because the players would have had to play game after game after game with no training sessions, no rest. It would have been absolutely preposterous. Scazz, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? Are you glad it's all collapsed? Because you can kind of run through that and talk about all the Premier League clubs pulling out, because that has happened today. What are your thoughts on the whole fiasco?
Well, let's just be upfront. I'm an Arsenal fan, and I can say that again now today. There was a period of about 24 to 48 hours where I didn't feel I could say that. Look, as you say, it's a decision made by owners. I think perhaps being a little bit generous to some of the executives involved with the clubs as well. I think the key point is it's not a decision made by the playing staff, the coaching staff, and most importantly, the fans. It's a decision made by boards and by wealthy people who just want to become wealthier. For a long time now, clubs like Arsenal, like Chelsea, like Manchester City, all of the six, Liverpool, Man United, have just become investment playthings. I won't mention the other team; they don't matter. They've just become investment playthings for the super wealthy. Sometimes they might make a bit of money out of it, but a lot of time they don't. But they're just there to have something that they can throw around in people's faces and say, "This is mine," and it's not what it's about. Football is about the people, the working classes where it came from, and it's about that community sort of feeling. And doing something like this just spits in the face of everyone who's been involved in getting the clubs to where they are now. There's a lot of history, even at Chelsea and Manchester City. They do have history before their current owners. It's just horrific, and I personally unsubscribed from all the Arsenal social media until the decision was backed down. I can't bring myself to stay away, having seen that decision reversed. But they've made the right decision now for shall we say, maybe the right reasons, maybe the wrong reasons. I think really it still comes down to a money thing. They can see it's not going to work. They might go off and have the Super League, but they're not going to be getting any money from the Premier League anymore. They're not going to get as many loyal fans coming back. It's just going to be who's going to pay to watch the stream over and wherever.
Yeah, Sorry, Scazz, just clarifying that do you think that there's going to be punishments handed out to those clubs still, or do you think that the Premier League will back down on those 14 clubs that were making those calls? Because the Premier League has a rule that those 14 clubs do get to make that call if it's the 14 club rule or whatever it is. So those 14 clubs come together with the Premier League. What do you think they say to the Premier League? Do you think they expel these clubs from the Premier League and send them down to the Championship? Do these clubs have to pay a hefty fine? What do you think the right punishment is?
Honestly?
Yeah,
honestly. It hasn't happened. The decision has been backed down from. They haven't actually started the league. They haven't left the Premier League. They haven't left the Champions League, Europa League. They haven't done any of those things. They've talked about it. They've talked a big game. Certainly the firmest talk we've ever seen with this. And I do struggle to see how you can legitimately now go and punish them if they don't actually follow through with it. I think it would be good for them to punish them, but I don't think it's necessarily something that will happen here. I just don't think it will.
Yeah, I think the threats that they made were enough. The fact that players weren't going to be able to play for their national team was a big one. The fact that they wouldn't be able to play in their domestic league. There were figures thrown around that were ridiculous. $50 billion fines, or pound fines, sorry, for each of the clubs that had decided that, millions. So it's crazy either way. Like if it was 50 million, if it was 50 billion, it's still a lot of money. And those clubs wouldn't have been able to pay. I mean, 50 billion is astronomical. And I think that either way, it would have been tough to back up. I think that the best possible way now to deal with this is to never forget what these clubs have done. And as fans, I don't think anyone should go to their games next season. I think we just need to take a stance against them. And even if the stadiums open back up, you go to another club. I'd go to Leicester City instead of I'd go to Arsenal matches. Make these owners leave. I'll start going to matches if Kroenke leaves, because Kroenke is the issue. So get him out. Get these American guys out who own the club. They're not Arsenal people. They don't understand the traditions. They are custodians. That is it. The fans are what matters. And in fact, let's start looking at the German rule, the 50+1 rule. Absolutely. I'd love to start getting these clubs fan owned, because football has to change, and I think football has to change for the better. And as soon as these owners come in and don't care about the game, we need to make sure that we get people in who do care about the game. And that's the fans who'll come in, week out, and who do care about the players, who do care about the results, who care about the facilities, who volunteer, all these people who actually give a crap about the clubs that they have been going to for generations. But let's just talk about, yes, Simon, no punishment will guarantee a definite split. I don't think it'll guarantee a definite split if they are punished. Now that these clubs have backed out, I don't think they can back out again. But it is a good point. No, let's just talk about what happened. So these clubs decided that they were going to split, and then this morning it all unraveled like dominoes. Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher were grinning in glee on Sky Sport TV, I know for sure. I know that people around the world, Chelsea fans protesting outside Stamford Bridge while they played Brighton, celebrated like they just scored a goal in the Champions League final as they realised that their club had backed out of this agreement. And then it just continued. Man City, of all teams, although I don't know why Man City got it in the first place. They don't need more money. They've got astronomical amounts of money. They were the first team to back out, followed by Chelsea, and then Arsenal, Liverpool, and Spurs, I guess, decided to make that same call. Manchester United obviously had been making big moves with the Glazers and leaving the ECA, and Mr. Woodward stepping down from UEFA. He's now stepped down from Manchester United as well. He'll be resigning and leaving at the end of the year. This has just been an absolute culling of all these figures, and I know that many Man United fans will be very glad to see the back of Ed Woodward, not a popular figure with that club in the slightest. And it's absolutely a pleasure to see someone that despised leave the club, even though, we don't like the club normally. I think this brought us all together as fans in solidarity for the fact that these owners who don't know what they're doing are departing these clubs and should be departing the club, sorry. That's what I want to see. I want to see Kroenke gone from Arsenal as an Arsenal fan. I have for much longer than this, but this is the final nail in the coffin for him. For me, he needs to leave. I'd love for us to get fan system involved and to have owners have less of a say than what they currently do, because what we've seen is the example of what happens when someone has too much ownership. The greed kicks in, and Perez from Real Madrid is a prime example of that. He just thinks he can do whatever he wants. He wins as much trophies as he wants, and then he says, you know what, I want more money. That's all that I care about. I don't care about the football. I just want money. So we need to football needs to change from here. And I think the best way to do it is to get these owners out, get these owners owning less of the clubs, and to say, let's start bringing football back to what it was before. Obviously still have money, still have these professional facilities, still have football played at a high caliber, but at less of a ridiculous cost, because it's just been going up and up and up and up. And it needs to come back down to a more level area now.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think it needs to. I don't think it's going to.
Well, this needs to be the catalyst for some change. I mean, we have to bring football back to a way where players aren't getting ridiculous amounts of money every week, where clubs and managers aren't getting ridiculous amounts of wages per week. But obviously the main one, to be honest, I could deal with players still being on the same wages as long as the owners themselves weren't paying themselves week in, week out with ridiculous wages and just saying, okay, cool, whatever. What I want to see is these owners having less of a stock, and I want to see fans getting more of a stock, and I want to see decisions being made by everyone around the area rather than just one person, because this is crazy. We've seen one person or a group of owners go in and make a decision without consulting anyone else from the club. The players were in the dark. The coaches were in the dark. Everyone was in the dark about this. No one knew what was happening. And then Perez goes over and says, you know what, as this person who's been elected by, yes, Simon, yeah, but he's been elected, and you can tell where those elections go in terms of the rigging of these elections. It's ridiculous. He's been elected, and it happens every season. This man gets elected. He pays off the people that he needs to pay off. He's got so much money, it doesn't matter. He gets re-elected every season, and then he comes in, he does that, and then he says, you know what, I want more money, and he does it again. And Perez is just the example of exactly what is wrong with the corruption.
I think I know what Paul's about to say.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
Allegedly, before we get sued.
Yeah.
You need the allegedly. Mm-hmm. Scazz, do you have anything more to talk about this, European Super League fiasco, which thankfully is now dead?
Just to finish my thought from before, I think in terms of the Premier League owners, at least the problem's going to be getting the money to actually buy them out of their ownership stakes. Whether that's going to be done through some sort of legislative process instead, I don't know. But that's where I see the big problem being. In principle, though, yeah, something needs to happen. Actually, one other thought, something that a few of the players have sort of been pushing, and I think it's a very good point. Obviously, very important that everyone's gotten worked up and united about this issue. There's a number of other issues in football that hasn't seen the same level of unity, hasn't seen the same level of action. Things like racism and things like the Qatar World Cup and the number of alleged deaths in the building of the stadiums over there. Two really important issues, more significant issues, if I'm being frank, than what kind of competition structure is as horrible as the competition structure is. These are much worse issues, and it would be good to see some sort of more organised and unified sort of action on those issues. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Premier League's been running this whole stand up to racism campaign. UEFA's been doing a pretty poor job of containing it. It's just been a bit ridiculous in terms of that. The fact that racism still exists anywhere in the world, especially in football, is just an absolute monumental joke. That bans need to be handed out to anyone who's racist. It needs to be much longer than just 10 games that Slavia Praha player was given. He needs to be banned for at least 2 years, if not longer. You could say that he could be banned for life just for those derogatory comments, which are shocking and should never, ever be uttered by anyone. And the fact is that I think this was UEFA's week against it as well, and that these people have come in and absolutely scuppered any chance of us talking about the real issues by creating this false league is just an absolute joke. And it's taken away, like you say, from the actual things that matter, because they've just come up with this fantasy league that they've got where they just wanted to have it given to them the right to be in this competition. I mean, what a joke, Spurs and Arsenal being given the right to be in a European competition when we haven't won the bloody trophy. What a joke. Like, how dare those two owners, Kroenke and Levy and the owners of Spurs, say, oh yeah, we belong at a table with the likes of Real Madrid, who've won 13 European trophies, the likes of Liverpool, who've won 5 trophies. There's no way we belong in that area. I want the chance to win a Champions League properly. I don't want to get given. I don't want to get given this 12-team founders. What a stupid name. The founding clubs. Ridiculous. All right. I don't want that. No one wants that. No football fan wants to be in this league playing the same teams week in, week out and saying, oh yeah, I won the European Super League, which is 12 teams, maybe plus 3 others who they were going to invite. No one wants that. You want to earn the right to get into the Champions League. Arsenal won't be in the Champions League next season. We haven't earned the right to be there. But you know what? We might earn the right by playing well in the Premier League to get to that spot and to get into the Champions League spot and to have a chance at winning the trophy that we all should have won in 2006, but Lehmann got sent off, and I'm still going to remember that game because that was absolutely gutting, heart-wrenching as an Arsenal fan. But that's what we care about. We care about the history. We care about those games that were the nearly bends. And to throw that all away over some European Cup is ridiculous. Man United fans had, on the way to Munich, they had a crash where, hundreds of people were affected because players died going to this cup. And then you just want to throw that away. And they've got things in their stadium dedicated to these players who died in a plane crash. And then their survivors won the European Cup a couple of years later. And you're just going to throw that away over a league? Obviously, these club owners are so out of touch. It's ridiculous. It's a joke. And so I'm glad that this European Super League is buried. It is just, it's sad to see teams signing up for something so ridiculous that is just obviously such a thinly veiled money grab. Yeah, shocking.
Makes you embarrassed to be a fan of one of those clubs. But anyway, we should probably talk about the team we're here for, shouldn't we?
Yeah. We should move on. Let's get back to the issues that really matter, which are the Wellington Phoenix, which we love to talk about. Obviously, I've already mentioned this is a franchise league. We've been crying out for promotion relegation for a long time. A-League, give us it ASAP. We'll support it, obviously, because it's the Phoenix, and we don't have that yet, but we do want that promotion relegation, and the fans know what we want. And you've already seen fan voices actually matter, because fans within 24 hours got this whole league absolutely canned. So you can see what happens there. The Perth Glory game was a second half display that, for a moment, I thought that it was going to be the Phoenix of old when we scored and then conceded 2 minutes later. And I was like, okay, here we go again. It's the Phoenix. We know what's going to happen next. Bruno Fornaroli is going to pop up and score a winner for Perth, and it's going to be like ridiculous. But no, we kept it out. I mean, Wayne Fenton scored a fantastic goal where it was all his positioning. I mean, Reddy palmed it straight to him, but it was all his positioning. He got into that right area. And then Soturio, I mean, the much maligned Joshua Soturio, comes in, gets almost gets in a tangle with Davila in the midfield, and I was like, yeah, there we go. But then he just puts on the burners. He uses his speed, and he gets the finish in, because what Soturio does is uses his speed, and he finally gets it in. And for a moment, I thought it was going to hit the bar, because I've seen that happen from Soturio so many times, but it went in, and thank goodness it went in, because, I mean, he deserved the goal. He deserved it. It was a fantastic finish. It was a fantastic finish, and I thought, like, as soon as he hit it, I was like, no, like, keep it down. It's going to go over, because I know what he's like. Mm-hmm. But it went underneath the bar. And Davila, I mean, he made all those goals. He does it every week. He's class. We love him. I think he, for me, was the standout again. And we have to do everything we can to keep him, because Davila he's an amazing captain for the club. I mean, he's our 6th top goal scorer of all time now already. Speaking of clubs that need history, the Wellington Phoenix needs some more time, if he's already the 6th top goal scorer. But, like, absolutely crazy. We love him. And, I mean, Ben Waine just goes, every week he just goes from strength to strength, and I see him play. And the more I see him play, the more I like him. And he has to start. I mean, Hemed's back, but he has to start tomorrow against Western United. I mean, no question. Ben Waine.
He's done absolutely nothing to deserve being dropped in. To be honest, Hemed hasn't done much to deserve to get ahead of him either. So, absolutely agree on that. Great finish from him as well. Unless I'm getting the games mixed up, I'm pretty sure it was this weekend that he got the long range.
It was a great goal. Great goal.
as you say, it was a bit nerve-wracking. Kianazi having just come on not long before his goal as well, and then 2 minutes after Wayne. Great finish from him as well, unfortunately. But yeah, as you say, as a Phoenix fan, you're sitting there going, well, here we go. It's another one of these nights. We all know what they're like. They happen so often, but it didn't happen this time, and it was really encouraging.
Yes, shout out Simon.
3-1 against Perth is...
Yeah, it's good. Simon's just saying it's Joe Lewis who owns it. ENIC Group is the Spurs thing, but Levy is the mouthpiece. Sorry, but just to clarify, all those owners, deserve to go. Perth Glory in a stadium we hadn't won at for 8 games or something, was it? We'd lost it since 2015. Since 2015, and we come over there and we get the result after going 1-0 up and then conceding so fast. Normally that would be the kind of thing that the Phoenix would just capitulate at, we've gone and scored, but then we've shot ourselves in the foot, and then misery would get piled on. But instead, we fought back. We showed the character that I think someone like Stevie T has brought back with him, and Cammy Devlin as well was fantastic. Clayton Lewis has been brilliant. I think we've found our midfield duo with Rufer benched. I think it has to be Devlin and Lewis. They've just been fantastic together. As much as I love Rufer and how much he's developed as a player, I think that he's just slightly not good enough to be in that starting lineup because Devlin and Lewis just dovetail much better.
So definitely, it's a good balance with the two of them.
Yeah,
a lot of good passing range out of Lewis, and certainly he's flourishing in a role that he didn't used to play when he was at Auckland City. He was more of an advanced midfielder.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's sitting quite a bit deeper and just spraying those passes around, doing a great job. Devlin just the dog that keeps running. The dog, probably not the right way to put it. But,
well, workhorse. He's a workhorse.
There we go.
If you're going to use an animal analogy, we'll give him a workhorse. I think as well. To be honest, we have to do it. We do it every week, and our God amongst men, or God amongst men, God amongst man, is Davila this week. He's the man of the match. He's the God amongst men. He is a class above. I love him. So if Paul, if you just whip up a banner at the bottom, and we can just put him on. Going into the game against the Snakes, we've already beaten them twice. Do you think that we can do it again? And how crucial? Yeah, I think so too. How crucial is Davila in that game? How important will the likes of Wayne be? Is there anyone who really needs to rise to the occasion, or do you think that's just more of the same that we showed against Perth?
Well, Davila is always going to be crucial. I don't think there'll be a game this season where he's available that he won't be crucial. He is just so far ahead of everyone else in the team. Not to be criticising the others, but he's just so classy.
Agreed.
So I think he'll make a waking day with the Snakes. Yep. No, look, he'll make the difference, I'm sure. I can't wait for Piscopo to come back, so we don't just have that one avenue. We need another sort of exciting spark in the attack. But he'll be very important.
Oh, lovely. Well done, Paul. Well done.
I'd like to see that Wayne keeps it up, but who knows? He's young. We can't put too much expectation on him, but if he keeps doing what he's been doing, then he'll make a difference as well. Soterio, if he can keep up how he's been playing the last couple of games as well, he's definitely a weapon to have there. But the interesting thing that I'm waiting to see is what's going to happen with that left back spot. Obviously, the first game Sutton came in, he had a great game against Perth. Nothing wrong, so to speak, but a little bit less spectacular.
A couple of times he was exposed on that flank a bit.
No, the same problem that McGarry's reportedly had is just not been quite so solid on the defensive aspect of the role. But to be honest, I think there needs to be a bit of a rotation between the two of them if he's got it in his mind that he wants to keep Sutton playing at left back. I think McGarry's too good to be missing out so often. He has played so well for us this season. It just seems wrong that he sits out too often. But that'll be interesting. Either way, I think it's a good option to have there. Whichever one of them plays. But that's what I'm waiting to see. Of course, we've already seen if he's prepared to chuck a younger guy in and leave him there with Ollie Sale. So maybe it will be Sutton again. We'll see. Yeah,
and how good was it to keep Keogh and Fornaroli scoreless? I mean, two strikers that you love to hate as an opposition fan, and so
Castro.
good to keep. Yeah, I mean Castro as well. I mean he's been on the bench and coming on. I mean, he's starting to get to that age now where he can't play as much at that top level.
It's still brilliant.
He's still brilliant, but I think that his powers are on the wane, and I think it's finally time to say goodbye to Diego Castro, who's another player that we love to hate as Knicks supporters especially. So it's always good to get one over Perth, and I think a couple of those players in there as well, like the Keos, the Fornarolis, it's great to see them dejected at that final whistle. Hopefully we can see more of that once we begin the march up the table that we've been waiting to do for so long. And if we beat Western United, that gives us 21 points, 2 points behind Western United. And obviously Western United have a game in hand, or 2 games in hand on us. So we do need other teams to start slipping up around about now, as well as the Phoenix to keep on winning, Scazz. Where do you see us finishing off this season? Do you see us getting that coveted playoff spot, or do you think that we're going to just miss out?
7th or 8th.
Just miss out. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think it's a bit of a mountain to climb. Look, if we do it, amazing. I'll be ecstatic. But I think it's a little bit too far. There's too many teams with games in hand, in particular. If you're looking at the table there, which I'll just make my screen a bit bigger. Yeah, so look, even Brisbane in 7th have 2 games in hand over us. Although they're only 2 points ahead, that's plenty to open the gap up. Same with Western United, unfortunately, but hopefully we can close that gap a little bit tomorrow.
I was actually looking at Perth's score as well. We're on 21, so we'd be above Western United, but obviously they've got 2 games in hand, so we'd be on 24, which is better than what I was looking at. So I'm happy. But you're right. I think we're just on that cusp of, because we don't have those games in hand, we're like really hoping that other teams slip up, and that's always a tough position to be in. Although it's happened before, it might happen again.
It's also interesting to see how close Central Coast and Adelaide are to City at the moment as well. Hadn't looked at that end of the table for a while. Not really my focus at the moment.
Absolutely, mate. No, I think this season, as we draw to that close, with the season being not as long due to COVID and all of that, the main thing I'm looking forward to is having the Phoenix back in Wellington for one game, because I think that we can absolutely pack it out. And can you imagine, we get to that last game, it's like the 21st or 22nd game of the season, and we've got a chance for playoffs. The atmosphere will be electric. I mean, there'll be people. I know I've talked to everyone on my football team, and we're all keen to go along. So we're going to have football team after football team worth of people in that stadium. I think we're going to easily crack 10K. Because people will just be ready to go for the football. And obviously we've seen the rugby played there quite a few times now. The
10K, think bigger.
The fans are loving it. Oh, well, I think 15, but undershoot and over deliver. I think the Phoenix will definitely be looking for 15. I think 15K would be ideal. Fill up at least half that stadium, because we know that Westpac, with at least half full, you have one end just rocking, especially with football fans, so we know deliver the best atmosphere. It'll be amazing. It'll be incredible. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to having the Phoenix back in the country where they belong, obviously.
My understanding is that it has been confirmed that one game is coming back to New Zealand. I don't know if that's right. And has it been confirmed that it's Wellington?
It will be Wellington, 100%.
Has it been confirmed that it's Wellington?
Well, it hasn't been confirmed that we'll have a game, but I tell you, if they do come back to New Zealand, they will be Wellington, because it would be ridiculous if it wasn't. Yeah, of course. No, it will be. As much as we love our Auckland supporters as well, I think they're the Wellington Phoenix, and they have to play in Wellington, because that's the place we'll be. And if you're a true football fan, you'll fly down to Wellington and make sure that you're there, because that's what you do.
And another thought on the point of us being the Wellington Phoenix, thoughts on the team wearing the red kit?
It's been interesting. Yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know why we wore it in an away game, because obviously it's the Wollongong colours, so you'd think we just wear it in Wollongong red.
Have they run out of the yellow or something?
No, I think they're just playing because it's lucky, so they're playing in the lucky red strip. That's what I think.
Oh, kind of like by that.
Yeah. I'd rather just play in the black and yellow, because we all know that the black and yellow is what traditionally we are. That's the colours of Wellington. It always has been. The yellow seats and the cake tin. That's what we love. So, yeah, I'm hoping that we play in the yellow and black when they come home, because that's what they should play in. And thank you, Wollongong, for everything. But we'd love for the Wellington Phoenix to come back home and play where they do belong, and bring those teams over for a difficult away trip, because that's what we always like, a nice, difficult Wellington breeze.
I think we can thank them enough without continuing to wear the red. I really want to see it stop.
It just doesn't feel like the Phoenix, does it?
It's not right. It's not right.
It isn't right. It's strange colours, but hey, I just pretend we're Arsenal, although we don't play like it when we're the Phoenix. But we try.
Yeah, we're winning.
Yeah. True. We do. We are winning. That's a bonus. Okay. It's been a pleasure talking to you tonight about everything that is the Wellington Phoenix and also the European Super League crumbling before our eyes. The domino effect of the Premier League clubs pulling out. One left, then two left, then everyone else said we are out, and it fell apart. It's lovely to see. And also it's lovely to see the Wellington Phoenix winning again. We hope that tomorrow night they do the business again, 9:00 p.m. against Western United. Very excited for that game, hoping that we can do 3 in a row over the Snakes, beat Rudan again, and keep hold of our coach for next season. But that is something that we'll be talking about in the near future because we love Ufi and we hope that he does the business. Last one is, Simon, did you guys have a look at the Champions League suggestions? Champions League suggestions in general. Let's just make
new reforms.
Yeah, the new reforms, which they kind of snuck through while everyone else was up in arms about the European Super League. The Swiss model is what it's called. I had a look at it. To be honest, it's one of those things where it's nowhere near as inflammatory as the Super League, so I'm not as fussed about it. I'm not too fussed about it, to be honest.
The Super League's done a good job of distracting me from it. I have no idea what's actually been changed. I think the number of teams from memory.
Yeah, it's the number of teams. There's more teams allowed to enter. And there's going to be more games played as a result. It's like 100 more games or something. So that's always going to be an issue with the coaches are going to take umbrage at that, and rightfully so. I mean, it's just tough to the players, especially when you've got a grueling domestic schedule. Being expected to play more games is always tough. While we're at it, though, let's just do a quick prediction of the Champions League semi-finals, which will be going ahead according to most people. I'm not taking Perez's thoughts into the matter, where he said we definitely 100% will not be eliminated from UEFA competitions, blah, blah, blah. Ignore that. Let's just make sure that we do these predictions. So, Chris, who are you predicting goes through to the final?
I'm going to be honest.
Yep.
As an Arsenal fan, I have only been focusing on the Europa League this season, so I know who's in the semis from memory. No, I don't even know. I know there's Real Madrid are in, City are in.
Yes.
Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea are in.
Who's the fourth team?
So the final teams are Chelsea, PSG, Man City, Real Madrid. So the two teams.
Of course, PSG is because it was the talk that they would win
PSG.
The other three.
So it's the two English Premier League teams against the other two. So Real Madrid versus Chelsea and PSG versus Man City.
I'd have Real Madrid in the game against Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have. That's a tight one. PSG and. PSG having just knocked Bayern out, I think, is probably enough to make me go in favour of them. Man City, they like to bottle it in Europe.
And the semis,
really close to my heart. I'd have a PSG Real Madrid final there.
PSG Real Madrid, I'd love that final as well. I'm going to go with what my gut says. For some reason, I just think Man City are going to make their first ever final against Real Madrid, and I hope. Beyond hope. I know this is going to sound really weird, but I hope Real Madrid lose. Perez, you deserve it. Perez, you deserve it. Man City, get your first European Cup, a European Cup that you earned, that you got there on your own merit, that you deserved after winning the Premier League and the Champions League. Pep, you can finally be happy and leave Man City. That would be lovely. That would be fantastic. All right. Thank you very much for joining the show. You can catch up on all the A-League results every morning at 7 a.m. with the morning sports briefing and get your weekly Phoenix fix at 9 p.m. next Wednesday. And don't forget to go whack New Zealand Sports Radio a few dollars on Patreon if you can. It increases our motivation to be back here each week and results in higher production quality. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.